Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhian. Here at Expat Insights, we take an external view of internal successes by foreigners, immigrants, and expats who live in the Philippines. Today, we have two guests. One from USA, New Jersey, and he has lived in this country for 11 years, and he has created a major difference in the world of marketing. Our guest tonight, Managing Director of Geiser Maclang, Mr. Brad Geiser, is our first guest, and our next guest is a lady from Kiwi, New Zealand. Her name is Dennis Ang, and she's visiting Philippines. She's part of the Association of Image Consultants International. So we'll have her right after Brad. So we have Brad first. Good evening, Mr. Geiser.
Evening. Is that when this will be showing?
Yes, it will be shown tomorrow evening.
Excellent. Okay.
Good evening then.
Good evening.
Tell me, Mr. Geiser, what is wonderful about Mr. Geiser?
Wonderful about Mr. Geiser, you'd probably have to ask my wife. But I do have to say, when I was very young, and I was watching management consultants and marketing consultants while I was having management training, and I would see them on stage and I would see them teaching, and I would be all starstruck and say, wow, I really want to be that. And sometimes when I'm actually on stage and I'm doing those kind of trainings,
oh man, that's me.
The 20-year-old gets a little bit of a kick.
And this was how many years ago?
Oh, that would be about 20 years ago.
This was in New Jersey?
In New Jersey in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, so tell me what made you leave New Jersey for the Philippines? Was it Miss?
Yes, my wife and
tell
my
me how
partner.
Did that happen?
Well, this is going to sound really, really, really cheesy, but it was love at first sight.
It was love at first sight. That is cheesy.
It is. I like to pride myself on being cold and skeptical, but I can't be that way around Namor. She's the most amazing person I've ever met.
Describe the moment quickly.
Wow. Okay. Actually, probably what would be better would be, think of a 30-minute conversation, and it's a 30-minute conversation, and you in about 5 minutes into the conversation, you suddenly realize, oh my God,
she's my woman.
That's it. And you spend the next 12 months trying to deny it to yourself.
To get out of it.
Because you don't like it that other people have that kind of power over you, right?
Yeah.
And she, of course, is living in the Philippines,
yeah.
And you see your life, the life you have in where you are, draining out. It's like it's losing its color, it loses its flavor.
It is. It's so beautiful, man.
I just had to go. I left everything behind and went.
Does she have a similar story, or her story is kind of different?
Well, you'd have to ask her.
Come on, you probably know it.
I never like talking for anyone, not even my wife. But I would like to think that, she likes to consider me the best mistake she ever made. So
lovely, isn't that? That's so beautiful. So today you are, both of you, partners in life and partners in business.
Yes.
So tell us about the business you run.
The business is Geiser Maclang Marketing Communications. We are, I believe, the second largest PR firm, at least in the top 5.
In the Philippines or in all Asia?
In the Philippines. Actually, I would like to say that I think we hold the distinction of being the first Filipino PR firm ever to leave the Philippines and start doing consultancy work regionally. Currently, my wife is coming back from Malaysia, from a Malaysian excursion. Mm-hmm. We service the pharmaceutical industry and a few others there.
Tell me about the starting pains, if there were any, here.
Oh my God. You need to understand. When I say I left everything behind, any assets that I had, I left with my family when I
back home in New Jersey.
New Jersey. I walked into the Philippines with $250 in my pocket, and that's it. I spent 2 years.
1999.
1999. I spent 2 years living next to a squatter village
in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, in Quezon City, with my with the Moor. And I mean, we were hand to mouth for 2 years. I would take buses and jeepneys and tricycles.
Oh,
just
you
like
should have called on me, man. Okay, anyway. Yeah.
And we built our business from scratch. We were both outsiders inside of the industry. We had no media contacts at all. Actually, we started off in market research. Our clients were almost exclusively Binondo-based Chinese traders. Yeah, I know you would say to yourself.
No, say that. What kind of traders?
Binondo-based.
Oh, Binondo-based. All right.
Yeah, the Chinese, the Filipino Chinese community.
Right. Yeah.
Wonderful people.
Yeah.
And I consider my relationship with them part of the reason why Geiser Maclang is as successful as we are.
So big today because
they're entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are different from marketing people.
Right.
Marketing people are communication specialists. Entrepreneurs are behaviorists. They think of things in terms of sales.
The big picture. The big picture.
Yeah, they look at things in terms of sales, and for a person to make a purchase, that's an active behavior, and they start with the behavior and they work backwards. And I feel that that's a fundamentally superior way to look at marketing than the way that marketing is usually looked at, which is as a form of communication. Marketing is taught as communication.
Yeah. Repeat that for me and say that again one more time. Okay. They look at a behavior.
Entrepreneurs look at behavior. A sale, when somebody makes a purchase from you,
they observe that.
That's a behavior. And that's where they come from. When entrepreneurs spend their money on things, they don't spend money for communication. They spend money for behavior.
Right.
And they look for, in other words, the out result.
The do part. The do.
Yeah. And the thing is, marketing is not taught that way. In university, marketing is taught as communications.
Right.
It's not. It's behavior. So if you learn how to communicate well, but you can't cause behavior, how effective are you really? And as a result of that, Geiser Maclang really built its business. When you're doing something, you don't necessarily realize that it's really that different from everybody else. We went into PR because we realized it would be a cost-effective way to get results for our clients.
For the small clients, for Binondo-based clients. Yeah.
So we've always treated it as a marketing discipline. And more importantly, we basically built our business on one sentence: please hold us accountable for business results.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say we always succeeded. Nobody always succeeds, but I think the entrepreneurial community really appreciated the fact that we were holding ourselves accountable for walk-ins, sales, business growth, we have one of our first clients is Fly Ace Corporation. They're a Binondo-based importer. And
Brad, can I just hold you for a minute here? We're about to take a commercial break.
Sure.
Yeah, and we'll come back to this same story. We'll continue with it, and we'll also find out how you have created a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, not just for the Binondo-based businesses, but for the rest of the Philippines and Asia.
Excellent.
So we're still with Brad Geiser from Geiser Maclang. We'll take a 2-minute break, and we'll come back and talk to him. Stay with us. This is Expat Insights. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm Raju Mandian. We are still with Brad Geiser of Geiser Maclang, and he was telling us about the Binondo businessman and marketing. Brad.
Well, our very first client was Fly Ace Corporation, and I'm happy to say that there's still
What's the name of the client?
Fly Ace Corporation.
All right.
The Kachankos. They're wonderful people. They're still our clients to this day. And we've watched them grow, and I like to think that we help contribute to their growth.
So what is it that you do differently at Geiser Maclang that other marketing companies don't do? What is word of mouth marketing. How does that differ?
Well, word of mouth marketing is actually the oldest form of communication on earth.
Grapevine.
Right. Well,
Okay.
I mean, it existed before there was such a thing as marketing corporations, you know, media. And the thing is, today is the greatest time in the past 300 years to be a word of mouth marketing practitioner, because 300 years ago, there was no mass media and there were fixed communities.
Yeah.
And in that kind of environment, word of mouth is dominant. Then we had modern agriculture, modern business, and it blew up the population and they became very mobile and community kind of collapsed, and word of mouth was replaced by media, which is communications triage.
Which is print, TV, radio.
Exactly. Just getting better and better and better
Yeah.
at, but basically it's a very small section of life being transmitted to the rest of the world. Now, with this is the interesting thing, because the internet came along,
Yeah.
and at first they thought it would be a commercial thing. And
Of course, we thought it would just be research or communications. Yeah.
yeah, and then they thought it would be all about making money.
Yeah.
So they have all
The
these
dot-coms.
websites, and then
Yeah.
it collapsed.
Yeah.
And then comes Web 2.0.
Web 2.0. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, this is the fundamental mistake everybody makes. The internet is not digital media. The internet is not new media. The internet is not social media. The internet is not media at all.
What is it?
It's post-media.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a return to what life was like 300 years ago. Because what happens in Web 2.0? We form communities.
All right.
And everybody can talk to everybody.
Right.
And there is no media basically saying what will be shared and what won't be shared.
So there are no partitions, there are no divisions. It's
We're now
completely open space.
Yeah,
up in cyberspace.
Well, not just, but that's just it. Now, all of us, you and me,
Yeah.
we're just citizens. You're a very prominent citizen, but you're a citizen.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else. So that's which explains why, you can have somebody who's worked for years as a respected editorial columnist for a major newspaper, and then you can have a 19-year-old kid who's a blogger, and in terms of readership, they can be just the same. We're all just citizens.
It is so handy. It is so easy to get into internet media. Are there any downsides? Are there any dangerous things that can happen out there?
Well, I think we all know that in an uncontrolled rampant communication environment,
Yeah.
and this is a communication environment that was designed for WOM, designed for word of mouth.
Warm, yeah.
And it means that good news travels fast and
Yep.
bad news travels faster.
Right.
And what it really calls on us to be about is it calls on us to be really people who are conscious of how we communicate ourselves, the things that we do. It's a call for transparency.
So how does a person like me, who has a certain amount of public face, how do I manage this? How do I keep it controlled and hold it from destroying me?